This is a real nightmare. I can't believe this is real.
We're in an absolute no-win situation.
I feel enraged for the lack of leadership.
It's cold!
The mind boggles.
One of the greatest tragedies is this lost decade of climate action. The first action of the Abbott government was to sack me and the rest of the Climate Commission.
This morning, the Climate Commission had been abolished.
Tony Abbott has sacked a former Australian of the Year.
There was a real indication that this would be a new era in which climate science was silenced.
It just showed how determined the government was to cover up when it came to climate change. In the same year, the Australian Climate Council was established with the biggest crowd fundraising effort in Australia's history.
The media whirlwind started, we were getting calls from all over the world. This is when I knew it was going to be really big.
I still feel emotional about it actually, because that was a big injection of hope for me.
It was that backing by ordinary Australians that made all the difference.
Today, the Climate Change Authority declared that the current 5% reduction target was substantially inadequate.
Australia risks falling behind the world if it doesn't aim higher.
Australia's emission target is quite frankly shameful.
We need to increase our target if we're going to be in line with the rest of the world.
Of all the many kicks in the guts, the scrapping of the carbon tax was the single worst government decision being made.
During the carbon tax years, pollution was going down.
The carbon tax is tonight dead.
All of these great policies on climate change were being dismantled.
Emissions just skyrocketed.
The nation's top scientific organisation will be forced to accommodate a significant budget cut.
We need better science around climate change. We need more capacity to understand what's happening so we can plan for the future. Any government worth its salt would be doing that.
Climate change is absolutely here now and it's having an impact. You put your head underwater with a snorkel and it's just white coral as far as you can see. And I remember looking at that and just turning around. I couldn't look at it anymore. Those sorts of moments really fuel me.
2017, Scott Morrison bringing a lump of coal into Parliament.
This is cold. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It's cold.
I was just horrified. To me, as a firefighter, it said, they don't give a stuff about my safety.
2018, Australia uses Kyoto credits on its commitments.
This is political negotiation at the highest level and our nation disgraced itself.
Catastrophic finding.
The worst fire season ever recorded.
It was hard to keep looking at the news and it made me feel very ill, to be honest.
These fires are a totally different animal to anything we've had to deal with before. Emergency leaders for climate action contacted the Prime Minister, warning of a bushfire catastrophe approaching, and asked to meet with him, and we were ignored. There were a number of times during that black summer, really didn't know if the crew I was with and I were going to make it home. We don't know how to deal with these fires anymore. On the worst years, even the firefighters have to run and hide.
2020-2021, the Morrison government continues to support fossil fuel projects.
I reckon it's got to be a commitment to a failing past.
The COP, it was so embarrassing for Australia to have the government pretending that we were doing a whole lot on climate, coming with targets that are super low.
Global momentum to tackle climate change is building.
The great majority of Australians want action on climate change and they're increasingly willing to vote.
Who do we want to lead us? What do we want this world to look like in the future?
There are few issues more important than climate change to you and your children. Look at who's offering the best solutions.
It might surprise people, but I feel really hopeful. At the Climate Council, our work will only be more and more important as the decade progresses. The only measure that matters on climate change is whether pollution is going up or down. And we've just got to keep pushing and pushing.
Authorised by Amanda McKenzie, Climate Council of Australia Limited, Sydney.